Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Screen Scene Guru, and today I'll be discussing the Star Trek animated series. This is from 1973. So going on into our episode lists, I'll start off with first episode, Beyond the Farthest Star. The Enterprise finds an ancient abandoned starship with a malevolent entity aboard, eager to take over the Starfleet ship. So very interesting stuff here. We come across rogue AI from a lost civilization. Then going on, we've got Yesteryear, the top-rated episode. After finding himself erased from recent history, Spock must travel back in time to save himself as a youth. So very interesting Spock-heavy lore episode. Going on to episode 3, we've got One of Our Planets is Missing. The crew of the Enterprise must stop a living planet-consuming cloud before it attacks an inhabited world. This also is a very good Spock episode where he mind melds. So really awesome stuff there. Going on to episode 4, we've got the L'Oreal Signal. Female crew members must take over the Enterprise when the men are incapacitated by a race of sirens. Very interesting stuff here. This episode we get to see the first all-female security team. So really good stuff there. Led by Nurse Chapel and Uhura. Going on to episode 5, we've got More Tribbles, More Troubles. Top-rated episode. Kratos Jones returns, infesting the ship, the Enterprise, with tribbles that now grow to a monstrous size. So very interesting stuff here. Episode 6, The Survivor. A famous human historian is found alive near Romulan neutral zone after being missing for nearly 5 years, but he may not be who he claims to be. Very interesting stuff here. The Survivor. New races introduced to Star Trek lore. For those of you that like to check out all this stuff. Going on to episode 7, we've got the Infinite Vulcan. On a planet of intelligence, plant-like creatures, the clone of a human scientist clones Mr. Spock for the use of giant peace mission. So very interesting. We get to see a giant version of Spock in this episode. Going on to episode 8, The Magics of Magras 2. At the center of the galaxy, a race puts the Enterprise crew on trial for the past grievances. This is a very interesting episode as well. We get to see past gods introduced to Star Trek. Episode 9, Once Upon a Planet. Upon returning to the amusement park planet, the Enterprise crew finds a computer which generates the planet's sophisticated robots is running amok, with the caretaker nowhere to be found. So very interesting stuff here. We do find out that the caretaker passed. The AI is now wanting to have someone on the planet to help and service, replicate. Then we got Episode 10, Mud's Passion. The Enterprise crew once again runs foul of the incredible Harry Mudd, this time hawking a love potion that grants influences over Spock and the crew. So very interesting stuff here. This also was a monster episode. Episode 11, we got the Terran incident. Exposed to spheroid explosion wave, the Enterprise crew begins to shrink in size. If a way cannot be found to stop their condition, they will soon be too small to control the ship. So very interesting stuff here, guys. Another top-rated episode, The Time Trap. The Enterprise and a Klingon ship are trapped in a space-time warp where only their coordinated ships will allow them to escape. So very fascinating stuff there. Going on to episode 13, The Abergils Element. While the Enterprise investigates a water world, Captain Kirk and the Commander Spock go missing. They're been abducted by the world's inhabitants and altered into water breathers. So very interesting stuff there. Going on to episode 14, we've got the Silver Weapon. Spock, Uhura, and Sulu discover an ancient multi-use weapon and are captured by the Kazui and who are equally interested in it. It's very interesting stuff here. Episode 15, we've got Eyes of the Beholder. While investigating the disappearance of a Federation member, Kirk and his landing party find themselves placed in an alien zoo. So very interesting stuff there. And then we've got episode 16, The Jihad. A team comprised of various experts, Kirk, Spock amongst them, must recover an artifact known as the Soul of Skrull. The thief must be kept a secret or the Galactic Holy War could break out. So very interesting here. We do see the Soul of Skalar, with the big bird people. We ended up finding out that the bird people were once a warrior race, and they'd like to get back to that. But going on to season 2, we've got Pirates of Orion. Spock contracts a fatal disease, and the medicine required for his cure is stolen by Orion pirates. This came out in 1974, season 2. However, it was shortened up because of decisions at the studio and cost of budget. They were working on the movies by now. So they had all the cast come in to do voice work for the animated show to wrap up the 5-year mission. But interesting to see that the show did have a shorter second season. Episode 2, we got BEM. The Enterprise crew is being observed to evaluate their suitability to meet with advanced civilizations. Episode 3, Practical Joker. The computer of the Enterprise gains gains partial sentience and the taste for playing practical jokes on the crew. So very fascinating stuff there. Albatross. Dr. McCoy is arrested and charged with causing an alien plague. This is a very fascinating episode as well. Going into the history, the lore of Dr. McCoy and his medical staff. How Sharper Than the Serpent's Tooth was a really favorite one of mine. The Enterprise runs into a being which once vanished, visited Earth and influenced Mayan culture. This is, of course, Kukulkan. And then, of course, the counter clock incident. The Enterprise finds itself trapped in a negative universe, which causes the crew to begin to grow younger and younger towards infancy. So this is a really cool episode as well. We got to see Admiral April, who was the captain in between Archer and Pike. That was very fascinating to see in animated form, along with his wife, the first medical officer, female medical officer. Hoping that they'll, go more into some of this lore now that they're able to make more content. I'm not exactly sure if they'll bring back the animated original series, given that they are moving on to other newer stories, but I thought it was fascinating. Kind of would have liked to get a 3rd season out of that, but of course they were working on the movies and other things. But real quick, I do want to go into this Star Trek comic book review. This is from April of 1991. We start off with Kirk and Dr. McCoy having a friendly game of third-dimensional chess, chatting about their history, their career in Starfleet. And then, of course, we get the yellow alert sound for Klingons arriving in the subspace area. It's very fascinating. They left Spock on the bridge to take command. He notifies them of the situation. We've got several Klingon warriors debating on tactics to use against this enemy fleet of new incoming cargo ships, which Klingons were well known for raiding and taking what they could, similar to the Varangi Code. Let's see, I want to see what these aliens are called. We get to see their maneuvers going back and forth as the Enterprise arrives. They do break dialogue between the Klingon commander, Captain Kirk, and Spock, essentially asking for notification of what's happening in their area, where the Klingons try to tell them not to interfere. Of course, we see some of their staff are very upset by this, and they want to take aggressive action towards the Klingons, which makes sense. And then we get to see the Tryons. The Tryons have a negotiation deal with, let's see, what is his name? It is Boki? Boki. The Tryons and Boki are trying to get trade going on between their system, but it is going through Klingon space, Klingon controlled space. So of course they are being raided and attacked, and Boki asks to go aboard their ship, which is a new type of configuration, one that they hadn't seen before, wasn't on star charts or maps. So that's very interesting. We get to see Uhura, Sulu, and Scotty aboard their ship, working on it. We get to meet the Troyans, which are a new civilization that is spacefaring, but they don't have new shipping lanes and certain things they're trying to get access for. Trying to see what the Federation offers instead of what the Klingons are offering. We also see that Sulu and Scotty get teleported onto their ship without their knowledge of it to do some sabotage. So that's very interesting. Then of course we see that Ubi is arrested for double-crossing the Federation. This was a ploy to get the Enterprise out beyond Federation-controlled space so they could plot an attack, which was, a lot of the Star Trek comics. We do see that the Klingons are coming around again to fire upon the Enterprise. And then you can see both ships going to full warp, headed towards the Troyans. And by now we're at a full conflict between the three groups. But of course the Taurians shuttle went to a dead stop because of their quick thinking and maneuvering. They wanted to stop the conflict between Troyans and the Klingons, which was pretty good. They ended up getting in a bit of a firefight with the Klingons to try to scare them off, which that was pretty successful. And then of course the head of the Troyans discovers Scotty and stuns him. And then we get to see right towards the end the Klingons discussing new tactics to take out the Enterprise, and a bit of a newsletter over here talking about DC and the future of the comics, which I thought was really cool. They do go into a bit of upcoming art covers, which is nice, and also a bit of an homage from the old Star Trek into the new Next Generation, which I just watched the first episode of Next Generation, which was the meeting at Farpoint with the jellyfish. Very good episode. I highly recommend it. But going on from there, guys, I've got a bit of movie news, a bit of speculatory stories going on. We did hear that recently over the weekend that Disney ABC Network canceled the Jimmy Kimmel Live show due to his inappropriate, would you will, comments on the Charlie Kirk assassination, the jokes not being appropriate. The FCC head commissioner really went after Kimmel's actions, calling him, a couple of different things like cowardly and distasteful. They asked for a public apology, which I don't think he has done yet. And they also asked for him to make a donation to Charlie Kirk's foundation, which I also thought was very interesting. Moving on from that, interesting news, because that has brought up a whole Tatiana Maslany, the actress from She-Hulk, boycotting Disney, telling people to cancel their Disney Plus accounts because of fighting for free speech. So that's very interesting. On the heels of Daredevil Born Again getting renewed for season 3, I don't think she's going to show up in that now that she's told people to get rid of their Disney Plus account. But Netflix was putting in a bid to buy Warner Brothers as well as Paramount. We also heard that Joseph Kosinski's new project is going to be Miami Vice. So that's really fascinating, coming out in 2027. So yeah, we just got a whole lot of movie news going on right now with different things coming out. I still need to do video on Conjuring 4. Probably going to have that out soon. But if you like the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up, comment down below what your thoughts are. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and on Threads at SceneScreenGuru. But until next time, guys, have a good one, and live long and prosper. Bye-bye.